Okay, so what makes a good short story? Well, a couple of things. One is that it's got to stay true to your unique voice and perspective, right? We have to think about writing as an art. It's an art form. And the way that you are going to create the best art is to stay true to your unique vision, voice, and experience. It's not by imitating somebody else. It's not by trying to do what you think big magazines, big literary magazines are doing. You're not going to fail. Yes, it can be a great writing exercise to sort of emulate the style of one of your favorite writers and to see if what about your writing matches theirs and where you're able to do what they're doing and where you fall short. A good short story is not only told in your voice from your perspective, but it also really deals with sort of this emotional base that all humans have. You know, good short stories are not just about a simple plot on the surface of the story. Every good short story has layers of emotion underneath. Things that you as the writer are trying to work through. One thing that I think is really important when it comes to building characters is to be aware of the way that people speak to each other. You know, I urge you to go in and eavesdrop in on a conversation between two people anywhere, and you'll very quickly notice the way that people talk to each other. So they talk in snippets, they heavily use pronouns, they are talking about two different things at one time, and they're sort of talking around each other and at each other. They're never directly talking to each other. Whereas if it was just straight, I say something and another character responds directly, like that's not at all how people talk. So you want to really stay true to how people actually talk, and you want to put those things in your characters because it's going to be a lot more interesting for your readers. How do you make sort of this full realistic character come through the story without giving the reader every possible detail that you ever thought about of the character? Well, you create what I love to call a character Bible. And a character Bible is the sort of list of seemingly unrelated information about each character that appears in your story, right down to the waitress who's sort of just like passing through. And you have to, of course, think about how in-depth you go is sort of based on what role they play in your story. But it's a question that sort of answers the history about the characters. It answers things about their goals in life. If you're writing a short story about a breakup, you want to answer the questions for the history of the character that are surrounding breakup, loss, what that looks like for the character when they experienced it. You want to have things about your characters, not only where they grew up, but what kind of household did they grow up in? Did their parents get along? Did they fight with their siblings? Are they an only child? What does that mean? What does that look like? How does that play out for them? One really important part of writing short stories, which is editing short stories, you basically have up to 20,000 words to tell a reader everything they need to know about your character, why he's there, what he's doing, what his challenges are, and why we should care. So what this means is that as the writer, it's really important for you to learn what sort of information is important and what is less important. It's about looking at the short story as a whole, what you're trying to convey, and what really works and serves the story. If you sort of break it down, every single sentence in your short story should do one of two things. It should either advance the plot or reveal character. If it doesn't do one of those two things, it's got to go. You want to start a story as close to the end as possible. A story is not like a novel. You don't have 100,000 words to go into backstory, details, side stories, histories. You don't have any. And then another really important point of editing is to trust the reader. Please trust the reader. We can read between the lines, and we have a good memory. You know, short stories, you have to remember, are usually read in one sitting. So the reader is going to be able to guess sort of things that have happened, and they're going to remember things that happened. And we don't need every detail told to us. This is not that kind of novel. you.